Most people misunderstand Sigmas. Many assume that being independent and self-reliant makes life easier. They see Sigma males as free spirits who answer to no one, living life on their own terms. On the surface, it looks like they have everything figured out. But the truth is far more complex. The same traits that make them strong also bring struggles most people will never understand. Their independence can feel like isolation. Their high standards can complicate relationships. And their refusal to tolerate fake behavior often leaves them standing alone. These aren't the kinds of struggles you'll find in motivational quotes or self-help books. They're quieter, heavier, and often invisible to the outside world. Yet for the Sigma, they are a constant part of life, battles fought in silence, away from the spotlight. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on struggles only Sigma males truly understand, the hidden challenges that outsiders never see, but every Sigma knows all too well. Number 1. Carrying strength that others mistake for coldness. When most people imagine strength, they think of muscles, confidence, or the ability to face challenges without flinching. A Sigma male embodies all of this, but his strength is different. It's quiet, consistent, and deeply rooted in discipline rather than display. He doesn't shout about his resilience, he just lives it. But that very silence is what leads to one of his greatest burdens. People mistake his strength for indifference. The moment he proves he can endure, people unconsciously start adding more weight onto him. Friends, family, colleagues, everyone assumes he can handle it because he always has. Soon, he's no longer just carrying his own responsibilities, but also the unspoken weight of everyone else's problems. The cruel truth is that the stronger he appears, the more invisible his struggles become. And because he doesn't complain, people assume he doesn't hurt. Because he doesn't break down, people believe he doesn't feel the pressure. His silence, which is actually discipline and self-control, gets mistaken for emotional detachment. He becomes the rock others lean on, the one who listens when they cry, the one who provides stability when everything falls apart, yet almost no one thinks to ask if he needs a shoulder in return. Over time, strength becomes his prison. People respect his reliability but rarely recognize his humanity. They see his calmness as proof that he's immune to stress, when in reality, it's simply how he prevents everything from collapsing. What they don't realize is that under that stoic exterior is a man who still bleeds, doubts, and quietly absorbs the chaos around him. The paradox is this: the more unshakable he seems, the lonelier he becomes. He isn't cold. He isn't heartless. He's carrying a weight no one else notices because he refuses to let it crush the people he cares about. That isn't coldness, it's the quiet sacrifice of being the pillar, even when it means standing alone. Number 2. Caring deeply but struggling to show it. One of the biggest misconceptions about Sigma males is that they don't care. To outsiders, they appear calm, controlled, and emotionally detached. But the truth couldn't be further from that assumption. Sigmas often care too much. The only difference is, they don't show it in the ways most people expect. A Sigma's love is subtle, almost invisible to the untrained eye. It's not loud declarations or constant reassurance. Instead, it's checking if you got home safe without making a fuss. It's remembering small details you once mentioned in passing. It's quietly stepping in to protect you from harm before you even realize you were in danger. His care isn't theatrical, it's practical, intentional, and deeply felt. But because his affection doesn't fit the world's template of love or care, it often goes unnoticed. People equate love with grand gestures, emotional outpourings, or verbal affirmations. And when he doesn't deliver those things, they assume he doesn't care at all. That misinterpretation stings more than anyone realizes. For a Sigma, expressing emotions openly can feel like speaking a foreign language. When he tries, the words often come out stiff or awkward, never fully capturing what he feels inside. Frustrated, he retreats into silence. Instead of explaining with words, he continues showing love through actions. But the quieter his expression becomes, the more invisible his love seems. It's like screaming in a language no one understands. He pours himself fully into the people he values, but if they can't read his language of care, they assume there's nothing there. And because a Sigma doesn't love halfway, he loves completely, that misunderstanding cuts deeply. The silent truth is this: he feels everything, sometimes more intensely than those who loudly express themselves. His struggle isn't a lack of emotion, it's the inability to display it in a way others recognize. And when his love is overlooked, he carries a pain he rarely admits out loud, the pain of being misunderstood not because he doesn't love, but because he loves in a way the world doesn't see. Number 3. Having their blunt honesty taken the wrong way. For a Sigma male, words are not just sounds, they're tools. He doesn't dress them up, sugarcoat them, or waste them on flattery. If he speaks, it's because what he has to say matters. His honesty is never random, it's deliberate. To him, truth is the highest form of respect, because lying or withholding feels like betrayal. But here's the paradox: the modern world doesn't actually thrive on truth, it thrives on validation. Most people claim they want honest feedback, but in reality, they want comfort dressed up as honesty. They want their feelings protected, not their illusions shattered. And when a Sigma refuses to indulge that, when he gives them the reality check they secretly need, they brand him as cold, arrogant, or even toxic. It's a cruel cycle. A Sigma may spend energy explaining something with clarity, cutting through excuses, only to have the other person hear it as an attack on their worth. He might highlight someone's blind spot to help them grow, but instead of gratitude, he gets defensiveness and distance. His refusal to fake a compliment makes him look like the villain in a world addicted to approval. This creates an impossible bind. He must either soften his words to the point of dishonesty, betraying his own principles, or remain blunt and risk constant misinterpretation. Almost every Sigma chooses the latter, because diluting truth feels like selling his soul. But the cost is real: broken connections, reputations damaged by misunderstanding, and the exhausting role of always being the one who goes too far. The irony? Those same people who recoil from his blunt honesty will, in their darkest and most desperate moments, seek him out, because deep down, they know he's the only one who will give them the unfiltered truth they can't get anywhere else. For the Sigma, honesty is not cruelty, it's loyalty. But loyalty in raw form often scares people away. Number 4. Being respected but rarely truly known. On the surface, being respected seems like a blessing. Everyone looks to the Sigma male for leadership, for wisdom, for guidance. He's the guy people trust with secrets, rely on during crises, and hold up as an example of strength. But there's a hidden cost to that pedestal. The higher people raise him, the more isolated he becomes. Respect can feel like a prison. People admire the way he carries himself, but they rarely see the man underneath. They ask for advice, but never ask about his struggles. They follow his lead, but never bother to ask what he needs. It's as if his humanity gets erased and replaced by a role: mentor, guide, anchor. The irony is that while he's everyone else's safe place, very few people ever become his. And this takes a toll. Imagine walking into a room where everyone sees you as the serious one. They expect wisdom, composure, maybe even inspiration, but never vulnerability. While others are free to joke, mess up, and show flaws without judgment, the Sigma feels forced to keep his mask in place. To let it slip risks disappointing people who've built an image of him that's larger than life. It's lonely at the top of respect. Because while respect commands admiration, it doesn't guarantee intimacy. People may value his strength, but they don't always value his soul. And so he often goes home carrying conversations where he was the listener, but never the one listened to. He may have 100 people who respect him, but very few who truly know him. Respect feeds the ego, but being known feeds the heart. And for Sigma males, the tragic irony is this: the very qualities that earn them respect are the same qualities that keep them unseen. Number 5. Giving loyalty but getting tested anyway. For a Sigma, loyalty isn't casual, it's sacred. He doesn't hand it out freely like a cheap gift, he chooses carefully who deserves it. And once he gives it, it's unwavering. His loyalty is quiet but absolute. If he tells you he's with you, he means it, not just when things are easy, but through storms, setbacks, and challenges. But here's the painful twist: most people don't know how to handle that kind of loyalty. Instead of valuing it, they test it. They play games. They push buttons. They stir unnecessary drama to see if he'll still stand by them. These tests don't confirm loyalty, they erode it. To the Sigma, loyalty is proven by consistency, day in, day out, not through suspicion or endless questioning. Every time someone doubts him, it's like planting a seed of mistrust. And eventually, those seeds grow into walls between him and the very people he was loyal to. What people don't realize is that a Sigma won't fight to prove his loyalty. He's not going to beg to be trusted, nor will he jump through hoops to prove what he already knows in his heart. If his loyalty isn't recognized for the treasure it is, he'll quietly withdraw. No anger, no drama, just a clean break. And once his loyalty is broken, it's gone forever. That's the tragedy. By testing a Sigma's loyalty, people often end up losing the rarest thing they'll ever have: someone who was ready to stand by them unconditionally. Number 6. Feeling misunderstood, no matter how clear they are. Sigma males value clarity. They don't waste time with hidden meanings, vague words, or manipulation. When they speak, it's direct, precise, and honest. They say what they mean and mean what they say. But the irony? No matter how clear they are, people still twist their words. He can draw a boundary to protect his peace, and someone will accuse him of being cold. He can give an honest answer, and someone will take it as judgment. He can offer advice meant to uplift, and someone will hear it as criticism. It's not that the sigma is unclear, it's that people hear through the filter of their own insecurities and egos. This constant cycle of being misinterpreted is exhausting. Over time, it wears him down. He grows tired of clarifying, defending, and explaining himself to people determined to misunderstand him. And so, he retreats into silence, not because he has nothing to say, but because saying it feels pointless. But here's the cruel irony, that very silence gets misread too. People label him aloof, detached, arrogant, or uncaring. They assume his quiet means he has no feelings, when in reality, it's the opposite. He's simply protecting himself from the drain of constant misunderstanding. This is the Sigma's paradox. He can be as transparent as glass, yet still feel invisible. He can speak with precision, yet still be misheard. And while silence may give him peace, it often leaves him feeling profoundly lonely, misunderstood not because of who he is, but because of how the world chooses to perceive him. Number 7. Feeling drained by people who can't think logically. For a Sigma, logic isn't just a personality trait, it's a lifeline. It's how he navigates life, solves problems, and protects himself from the chaos of a world that often thrives on confusion. Where others rely on emotional outbursts, groupthink, or impulsive reactions, he leans on clarity, reason, and structured thought. Logic gives him stability. It's the anchor that keeps him from being swept away by the storms of unnecessary drama. But here's the problem, most people don't live this way. They don't want solutions, they want sympathy. They don't want truth. They want someone to validate their emotions, even when those emotions defy common sense. Instead of addressing reality, they get stuck in circles of blame, self-pity, and gossip. And for a Sigma, who sees things in straightforward terms, this is exhausting. At first, he makes the effort. He lays out facts, presents evidence, and offers solutions like a blueprint for clarity. He thinks, if I show them the path, they'll take it. But instead of gratitude, he's often met with resistance. People accuse him of being cold, uncaring, or too logical. They don't realize his logic is his way of caring, it's his attempt to cut through the noise and bring peace. It's like trying to reason with a storm. The louder he explains, the louder the storm rages back. He soon realizes the truth, they don't actually want logic, they want emotional validation, even if it means ignoring reality. So he pulls back. He stops arguing, not because he has nothing left to say, but because he refuses to waste energy on what feels like emotional black holes. To outsiders, his silence is misread as arrogance or superiority. But in reality, it's self-preservation. He's not looking down on others, he's protecting his mental clarity from being drained. The irony is that people often turn to the Sigma in moments of crisis, precisely because his logic works. But the rest of the time, they reject it. And that back and forth takes its toll. It leaves him feeling like a tool to be used in emergencies, but unwanted when emotions take center stage. For the Sigma, logic isn't a preference, it's his sanity. It's the shield that guards him against chaos and the compass that keeps him steady in a world that seems addicted to disorder. But that shield, while necessary, often distances him from others. And in the end, his ability to stay calm and rational becomes both his greatest strength and his greatest burden. Number 8. Carrying the weight of expectations without asking for it. A Sigma never signs up to be anyone's hero, leader, or emotional anchor, but somehow, people put him in that role anyway. His calm presence, his independence, and his ability to handle pressure make others assume he can handle anything. And because he rarely complains, those assumptions stick. People start leaning on him, friends, family, colleagues, even strangers. They expect him to solve problems, keep his composure, and always have the right answer. At first, he doesn't mind. He's capable, and he values helping those he cares about. But over time, the weight grows heavier, because the help is never balanced. People take, but rarely give back. Here's the paradox, the Sigma male is strong enough to carry that weight, but human enough to feel crushed by it. He doesn't show cracks easily, but the silent pressure builds. Others assume he's unshakable because he doesn't lash out or complain. What they don't see is the quiet exhaustion underneath. The real frustration comes from the imbalance. When he's there for others, it's expected. When he needs someone, his silence makes people assume he's fine. No one asks, "Are you okay?" because the Sigma has trained the world to believe he doesn't need help. And here's where the cycle gets dangerous, the more he hides his struggles, the more invisible they become. People keep piling expectations on him, never realizing they're draining him dry. He becomes the rock that supports everyone else, but who supports him? Often, no one. So he learns to withdraw. Not out of coldness, but out of necessity. He limits his availability, sets boundaries, and sometimes disappears altogether, because he knows if he stays too accessible, he'll be consumed. Outsiders call it detachment. In truth, it's survival. For the Sigma male, the weight of expectations is a quiet burden. He never asked for it, but he bears it all the same. The tragedy is that people don't realize how much pressure he's under until he's gone, and by then, it's too late. Number 9. Being punished for choosing solitude. For a Sigma, solitude isn't loneliness, it's fuel. Time alone allows him to reset, think, and protect his peace. But society doesn't see it that way. Instead, people punish him for stepping back. They label him antisocial, weird, or aloof. Friends think he's avoiding them. Partners think he's losing interest. Family thinks he's being rebellious. The truth? He's not rejecting anyone, he's protecting himself. Solitude is where he recharges from the constant noise of a world that misunderstands him. But because most people fear being alone, they project that fear onto him, assuming his silence is coldness. Over time, the Sigma learns that solitude is both his greatest gift and his greatest curse. It gives him strength, but it also makes him an outsider in a society that worships constant connection. Number 10. Being respected in silence but feared in truth. People admire the Sigma male when he's silent. His quietness, his mystery, his calm presence, it intrigues them. But the moment he speaks raw truth, that admiration often turns to fear or resistance. Why? Because Sigma males don't sugarcoat. They don't flatter egos or play along with lies. When they speak, they strip away illusions, and most people aren't ready to face themselves in that mirror. So, paradoxically, the very thing people claim to admire, his authenticity, becomes the reason they distance themselves. They want his calm energy but not his truth. They want his loyalty but not his boundaries. This leaves the Sigma in a strange position, admired from afar, resisted up close. Silent, he's respected. Honest, he's feared. And few ever realize that both sides are the same man. Final thoughts. At the core of the Sigma male's struggles lies a simple truth: he doesn't fit into the mold society expects. He values loyalty but gets tested. He speaks clearly but is misunderstood. He seeks logic but is drowned out by noise. He never asks for expectations, yet ends up carrying them silently. This isn't weakness, it's the cost of walking a path few dare to take. The Sigma male lives by his own code, which means he will always clash with a world built on pretense, ego, and shallow validation. His silence is not arrogance, but armor. His withdrawal is not rejection, but self-preservation. His detachment is not coldness, but clarity. The irony is that people often only recognize his value after he's gone, when his loyalty, his strength, and his clarity are no longer there to lean on. By then, it's too late. The Sigma doesn't return once he's walked away. So if there's one lesson here, it's this: never take the presence of a Sigma male for granted. He may be quiet, but his presence is rare. He may be misunderstood, but his intentions are pure. And once you lose him, you may spend a lifetime searching for that same depth, and never find it again.